The room is too bright, sterile. The hum of fluorescent lights gnaws at my sanity as I lie here, confined to this hospital bed at St. Anne's, North London. Dr. Martin kind, yet cautious, lent me his laptop. He doesn't trust me entirely. I can see it in his eyes, but I need to write this down. I have to, before it's too late. My name is David Argento, I'm 16, and they tell me I'm sick. Something wrong with my mind, they say. But they don't understand. They can't. The truth? It started 4 nights ago. It was late, the kind of hour when the world feels hollow, and shadows creep into corners they don't belong. I had just decided to clear out some old junk. My school books, to be precise, relics of misery from my GCSEs math, history, English. God, how I hated them all. The books had been rotting in a forgotten corner of the loft, their spines bowed under layers of dust that seemed almost alive. I hated looking at them. Touching them made my skin crawl. But I gathered them anyway, piling them into my arms, determined to see them burn. And then, I saw it. I'm not sure what drew my attention. Maybe it was the faint glint of the dim light reflecting off its surface, or maybe something else entirely, something I can't explain. But there it was, a red CD-ROM case. It wasn't dusty, like the books. No, it was pristine, as if it had been waiting for me, ... I turned it over in my hands, no labels, no markings. Just a blank, blood-red case. Its silence was deafening. Excitement buzzed through me, though I didn't know why. It felt wrong, like touching something forbidden, but I couldn't resist. The books hit the loft floor with a dull thud, forgotten. My full attention now on this strange, wordless artifact. A computer game, I thought. Left behind by the house's previous owners, maybe. But why did it feel heavier than it should? Why did it feel like it was watching me? Back then, computers were my obsession. Naturally, the strange disc piqued my interest. I figured I'd give it a shot on my old Dell laptop. The case creaked open under my fingers, revealing the disc inside. My stomach churned. There was no sleek design, no colorful label, nothing to suggest it was anything remotely normal. Just plain white plastic with shaky, uneven black markers scrawled across it. Chatroom 98, I frowned. It wasn't a game. That much was clear. The disappointment came quick, but curiosity lingered longer. Someone had gone through the effort to make this disc, in a world already brimming with chatrooms on the internet. Why? What made this so special? Whatever the answer, I was about to find out. I shoved the useless school books down the attic ladder and slid the disc into my laptop's drive. The machine groaned, its whirring fan the only sound in the dim attic. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the screen flickered, and a red box appeared in the center. It was blank, eerily blank. The longer it lingered, the more oppressive it felt, like it was staring back at me, ... After what felt like forever, the screen went black. My breath caught. Just as quickly it flashed again. "Welcome to Chatroom 98, it declared, the text stark and bold, sitting at the top of the screen. Chatroom 98? What was the significance of that number? Before I could think too much about it, a white text box appeared in the center of the screen. The cursor blinked expectantly, daring me to type. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, unsure. Finally, I typed something simple. "Hello." I didn't expect a response. Maybe some canned message or automated prompt. But what I got was worse. "Good afternoon," came the reply, signed by someone or something named Darwin Clark. My chest tightened. The response came too quickly, too naturally. There was no lag, no stilted phrasing. It felt human. But that didn't make sense. How could anyone else be in this chat room? I had just found the disc in the attic. It had to be a chatbot, I reasoned. Some old software designed to mimic conversation. Still, something felt off. The way the text lingered on the screen. The strange familiarity of the name, though I'd never seen it before. The realization that this red box, this disc, This entire chat room had been in my house, undisturbed for who knows how long. For the first time, my love for computers felt like a curse. I figured the disk must have belonged to the house's previous owners, but that didn't make much sense. They didn't even own a working computer, or at least not anymore. I still remember the day we moved in, finding a shattered relic of a desktop in the corner of the attic. Its screen cracked like a spider's web. We hauled it to the dump without a second thought. None of this added up. Still, I wanted to push this strange chat room program further. I wanted to see how smart it really was, or how twisted its programmer's sense of humor might be. "Lovely weather we're having," I typed, smirking at my own banality. The response came almost instantly. "No, it seems rather miserable today." I froze. The words on the screen felt cold, precise. For a moment, I thought nothing of it. England's weather is notoriously grim, after all. But then something compelled me to glance out the window. My stomach knotted. The sky had darkened, bruised with clouds, and rain was on the verge of spilling. How could it know that? I tried to laugh it off. Surely, it was just a lucky guess. The bot's programmer must have assumed it'd be cloudy. It was England, after all. Still, the timing, it was uncanny. To shake the unease creeping into my chest, I typed another question, something casual. "So what are your favorite movies?" The reply was immediate, as if it had been waiting for me. "I don't watch movies. I prefer the theater." The theater? My fingers hesitated above the keyboard. Was this some joke, or had I stumbled into the world's most pretentious chatbot? "How old are you?" I asked, smirking as I hit enter. Surely this would expose the bot's programming, its limits. It had to stumble somewhere. The answer was chilling. "I'll tell you about myself. I was born in 1867 and grew up with two sisters whom I hated." My heart thudded in my chest. 1867? My first thought was that the programmer was just having a laugh, spinning some Victorian nonsense for effect. But there was something about the phrasing, the bitterness in whom I hated. For some reason, I couldn't help but respond. Maybe it was nerves, maybe denial. Laughing at the absurdity, I typed, "Well, I was born in 2098 with two identical twin brothers who are also aliens from the planet Boogaloo. I am also Jesus." I laughed aloud, the sound sharp and hollow in the silent room. The absurdity of it felt like a lifeline, something to ground me. This was just a program, just some ancient, forgotten joke of a chatbot. But despite my laughter, I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't talking to a bot at all. There was something off, something I couldn't explain. Something watching. His reply came quickly, almost playfully. "Really? How droll. Nice to meet you, Mr. Jesus. Have your brothers abducted anyone yet?" I laughed, louder than I expected. Whoever programmed this chatbot clearly had a twisted sense of humor. It was impressive, really. The responses were quick, clever, almost conversational. I decided to push the joke further, typing, "Yes, they're actually alien pedophiles who prey on human children. You'd better watch out, they have a fetish for CD-ROMs." He sneered, "Really? How droll. Nice to meet you, Mr. Jesus. Have your brothers abducted anyone yet?" I chuckled nervously, trying to dismiss the growing unease. Whoever programmed this chatbot had a twisted sense of humor. Yes, they're alien pedophiles preying on innocent children. Watch out, they have a thing for CD-ROMs. I typed, forcing a laugh. But his next message chilled me to the bone. Well, although I may appear to be a CD-ROM, I was once human. Until I faced judgment for my sins. The words hung in the air, heavy and ominous. It wasn't a joke. This was something else, something sinister. "You don't understand?" He typed, his message slow and deliberate. My sisters, whom I despised, met a tragic end. Fear gnawed at my insides. This wasn't a chatbot. It was something far more dangerous. I typed, a desperate attempt to regain control. "What have your brothers done lately?" The screen flickered and the typing began, slow and methodical. You are an only child, David." My blood ran cold. This wasn't a joke. This was a threat. "What the hell are you?" I demanded, my fingers trembling on the keyboard. The response came, slow and deliberate. "Let me tell you a story. Do you know what happened to your house's previous owners? The same that happened to my two sisters. Remember, I despised both of them." That was it. I couldn't take any more of this. My hand, trembling, guided the cursor toward the top right corner of the screen. The cross button, the one thing that could end this nightmare. Relief flooded me as I clicked it, or so I thought. The chat window didn't close. My relief was short-lived, evaporating like mist in the sun. Instead, the computer froze. The screen flickered violently, glitching in a way I had never seen before. My heart thudded painfully in my chest as the chat room reopened itself, unprompted, like a predator stalking its prey. Another message appeared, stark and unavoidable. "You have not heard everything yet." I recoiled from the screen as though it had struck me. My fingers scrambled over the keyboard in a panic, desperate to regain control. "What are you messing with my computer? Stop this. This isn't funny." I hit enter, my words feeling pathetically small against the relentless presence on the screen. But then, it happened. The screen fell still. The cursor blinked, taunting me. And then the letters began to appear again, slower this time, each keystroke echoing in my mind like the toll of a bell. THISD, IMA. E, it was deliberate, methodical. I could hear nothing except my own heartbeat, hammering in my ears. It grew louder, faster with each passing letter. Sweat poured down my face, blurring my vision. I couldn't look away. I couldn't tear my eyes from the screen. The final words unfolded before me, each one heavier than the last. "Look behind you." Everything slowed. The air around me felt thick, suffocating. My lungs burned as if I'd forgotten how to breathe. I didn't want to look. Every part of me screamed not to. But the words pressed down on me, seeping into my skull, planting the seed of terror. I clenched my teeth so hard my jaw ached. My eyes squeezed shut, a futile attempt to block out the inevitability of it all. My head felt heavy, like it wasn't mine to control anymore. And then, as if possessed by a force beyond my will, I shot my head back violently, uncontrollably. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. A weak laugh escaped my lips, shaky and hollow. My head dipped forward as I exhaled in relief. It was over. Whatever nightmare I had spiraled into, it was gone. But then I made the mistake of looking back at my computer monitor. The instant I swiveled my chair, I caught a glimpse of it. Just for a moment, but long enough for the image to sear itself into my mind. A face. It wasn't just a face, it was his face. A man, pale as death, with skin so white it seemed almost translucent. He was grinning, but not in any way that could be called friendly. It was the grin of something that had seen the darkest parts of your soul and enjoyed them. His hair was a sickly blonde, neat but wrong, as though he had stepped out of some grotesque portrait. He couldn't have been older than his mid-20s, but his eyes, those eyes. They were crimson, deep, blood-red orbs that glowed with an unnatural intensity, burning through the screen and straight into me. It lasted less than a second, a nanosecond maybe, but that was all it took. I don't remember much after that. I think I screamed loud and guttural, like something primal had been wrenched from me. Then the world went black. When I woke up, Dr. Martin was standing over me, his face a blur of concern. He's the one taking care of me now, the one who told me I had been unconscious for 4 hours. He doesn't know though. He doesn't understand what I've been through, what I saw. And now here I am, sitting in this cold hospital bed, typing this out at 4:30 in the morning. The room is too quiet, and every shadow feels like it's watching me. Even as I write this, I keep glancing at the screen, half expecting to see him again. That face, that grin, those crimson eyes. Dr. Martin says I'm suffering from trauma. that I'm experiencing hallucinations brought on by stress and lack of sleep. Maybe he's right, but maybe he's wrong. Because I haven't slept in 2 weeks, not since that night. The circles under my eyes are dark enough to be mistaken for bruises, and the world around me feels like it's fading. I know I can't go on like this, but every time I close my eyes, I'm terrified they'll open to see him. I can't explain what's happening to me, but I had to record this. I had to tell someone, anyone. Because I don't think this is over. Not yet. I've tried to sleep, God. I've tried, but that face stops me every time. It's burned into my mind, etched behind my eyelids like a brand. Every time I close my eyes, I see it. Pale, grinning, those crimson eyes staring straight into me, through me, into something far darker than I can comprehend. I can't escape it. Now that I've recorded this, I have one final plea. A warning. A desperate attempt to save someone, anyone, from making the same mistake I did. If you ever see a red CD-ROM case, throw it away, burn it, destroy it, do not open it, do not even touch it. I made that mistake, and now I'm trapped in this nightmare. There's no escape. I'm going to end this now. I'm done. I can't take this anymore, the fear, the sleepless nights, the hollow ache in my chest that gets heavier every second. I'm going to jump out this third-story window. And if someone finds me, if anyone tries to bring me back, then screw you. You'll only drag me back into this torment. Let me go. But before I go, heed this final warning. Do not go looking for Darwin Clark. Maybe he's real. Maybe he isn't. I don't know anymore. But what I do know is this. He can destroy you. He will tear apart your mind, piece by fragile piece, until there's nothing left but fear and madness. If you hear this message, if you value your sanity, if you value your life, do not look for Darwin Clark. Because if you find him, you will lose your mind.